Here on Treaty 7 territory, nestled in the Rocky Mountains with the mighty Bow River at an altitude of 1,309 meters. Born from coal dust in 1884 and ever-changing, this is Canmore, and we are Canmorites, and this is the Canmorite Podcast. Let's go. Hey everyone, it's me, Jeff Maher of the Canmorite Podcast. Happy New Year, and here we are, Season 2, Episode 1, and I'm with the mighty, esteemed
Mayor Sean Krausert.
Sean, how are you doing? Happy New Year.
I don't know about the mighty esteemed, but thank you very much, Councillor Ma.
Yeah, not a problem. Like, pretty much when people ask me, like, what it's like to be a counselor, I just tell them that, it's a pretty hard job, but the job that's only worse and harder than mine is yours.
Having done both jobs, I can't argue with you.
Yeah, I got to say, like, it's been pretty good putting 2025 in the rearview mirror. And as we're moving into 2026, I'm kind of hopeful for some pretty good things.
Yeah.
So, man, like, how's it been so far? Like, second term so far, been a couple months in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it feels very good to have second term, as I think you'll appreciate. Things take time.
Oh, yeah.
And so, with the council last term, we laid the foundation for a lot of things and started to get some implementation of the bigger things happening.
Yep.
Because big things do take time to get going, the planning, the funding, creating the bylaws, etc. And so now having a second term, I just really feel like, the rubber's going to hit the road a lot better. We are already within a process, and now it's about, bringing it forward and manifesting some results.
Yeah, like I know for myself, I think when you asked me way back in the middle of the first term if I was thinking about running again, I was kind of like sitting in my head, and then there does come a point, like you say, it's okay, well, this is like a big ship we're steering, and big ships take like time for momentum to move one way and the next, and I really feel last term was a building term of like, wow, the community was a crossroads. We had to do some big direction changes, and like you said, it's kind of neat to have certain things like start to happen, but momentum takes time, and here we are. This could be like hopefully one of those terms where we can start to reap some of the things that we sowed.
Well said.
Yeah, and so in terms of some of this, I think one of the biggest campaign issues, similar to the first term, 2021, was like this whole idea of the livability for our community. Yep. And I think between some of the council's work and your steady stewardship, I think there's some interesting news coming up with, say, one of the biggest topics, livability tax. You want to talk a bit towards that?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a very controversial topic.
100%.
It's something that we did not enter into lightly,
no.
And in fact entered into as a last resort.
Yeah, it was.
For decades, the problem is getting worse around the housing crisis, and we're needing to do more, faster than we ever have before. And so we've done a lot of things. Like the first thing last council did was the Palliser Trail area structure plan.
Yep.
Laying the foundation for 1,300 units, of which a minimum 75% have to be non-market. And then approving other things like employee housing, approving the school project with the housing there. And a number of other initiatives. But it all takes time, and then it also takes money.
Yeah.
And the problem with the money that's needed is that we don't have many tools available to us. No. We have property taxes.
Yep.
And if we put this cost on the taxpayers across the board, that's over a 30% increase in your tax annually. And that works right against the affordability issues and objectives that we're trying to achieve for those who are trying to live here in their first home and their only home.
Exactly.
And so that was not a possibility. We do not have the ability to require a certain amount of non-market housing to be built.
There's no rules in the MGA that allow that.
We cannot tax tourists.
Yep.
We can't. There's not grant funding that's been made available to us. So there's a whole number of reasons that we only had one option left, and we used the tool in the MGA. that allowed us to create subclasses.
Hmm.
And we did it, like you said, without joy.
Yeah.
It was about, we have to do this. And we know that this will be a hard for some, but it is in the best interest of the community as a whole. And that has to be our guiding thing
Always.
always. So that's been the history. And it's been challenged in court, and we won.
Yep.
Obviously, past council and during the election, there was a lot of people that were, quite antagonistic to us over it, and I get it. Yeah, people are being impacted by it.
Yep.
The second homeowners, and there's been a lot of advocacy to the provincial government.
Yep.
And so, because of that, the town and through myself specifically, we've been doing a lot of communication with the government over the last couple of years.
Oh, we had huge efforts.
When we went into this, the government knew what we were doing. We had letters from the Municipal Affairs Office sent out to not only us but to the local reporters, indicating, the town's able to do this.
Yeah.
However, in this past year, in meeting with Mr. Williams, who's been excellent to deal with.
And just for like some people that don't know, Minister Williams, part of the UCP caucus, what's his role again?
Yeah, he is the Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Yeah, so he
just took on that post when the previous Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rick McIver, became the Speaker of the House,
right,
Speaker of the Legislature. So that vacated his spot, and Minister Dan Williams was made Minister of Municipal Affairs, and he's been great to deal with. And right from the start, he says, "Look, Sean, we have to do something. We don't know exactly what we're doing, as specifically what the response will be, but we have to do something because it's not sitting well with the government's outlook." So we've had some really good discussions, and I let him know right from the beginning that we weren't so much fixated on a particular solution. Rather than meeting the dire need that we have.
Which is money.
Which we need the revenue in order to produce the non-market housing at the scale and volume and rate that we needed. And so we've been focused on what can get us there. And so most recently we've had some discussions specifically about the Livability Tax program.
Yep.
And we've come to an understanding that the path forward that would be palatable with the government and still allow us to proceed with the program is to have it not be applied to Albertans.
Right.
And so I'm bringing a motion to council, and I don't know when this will be aired, but it very well may be after that. Council will then consider whether we give direction to administration to amend our livability tax program so that Albertans are exempt from any of the higher taxes related to second homes.
Yeah, and so as a recap, I think because like you just laid out the entire storyline there, here we were in our first term, and we were really like backed against the corner on how we could save this community. We looked at all the options. As you said, because we're a municipality, we only have so many powers. Unlike, the provincial and federal governments, we cannot run a deficit and just borrow money and make the magic happen. And then we threaded the needle. We got good advice, we got legal advice, we even broadcast our intentions to the province. and the whole way we were able to work this tax through. And I feel in a lot of ways, just the conviction of the councillors that supported this tax, it kind of led to a shift in the playing field, and it allows us a shift to where we are now, where it's been acknowledged that our pathway forward has been legally correct. And it seems like we've now been in a situation where the province has recognized their efforts, and at the same time they want to modify it a little bit too, because like you said, they have certain probably people in the province that are not happy that the Albertans are having the second homer thing, but we are still moving forward in some sort of way.
That's right, and we've been working very well together.
Hmm.
It's been recognized that Canmore has a unique situation.
Absolutely.
It's also been recognized that the script is well written for mountain communities that are popular tourist
We are not the
destinations.
first ones
We're
that
not the
got
first ones. We know what happens, so we're not actually overstating it when we say that this is an the housing crisis that we're facing is an existential threat to our community. It hollows out a community, completely guts it of the people that make this the place that it is.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's why we have to take what we acknowledge are pretty extensive steps.
Yeah.
And so we've been working well together, and we've been focusing on how can we meet this need. We're dealing with the Livability Tax program piece right now, but we recognize that there's likely to be multiple pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And so I do feel what happens. The problems is trying to like take care of like some people there on the Albertan side. So we will continue to work with our livability tax, and there are other second homeowners in our community that contribute a lot, but at the same time, they're also not from Alberta, and so they will still be covered by the tax. I guess the other thing too that's kind of interesting is like when this motion comes forward at our next council meeting, and if it does pass, assuming it does or not, but if it does pass, administration still has to come back with us, and like there's a time frame on that, right? It's not like it's an instantaneous thing. Like they might even come back and say change nothing, or they might come up with something else.
No, they would have to change. They would have to change something if it passes a council.
Right.
But it will take some time because there's a few moving parts. Okay, so we need to finalize. There's a number of people that have not filled out the declarations. There's about 14% of households have not filled in the declaration yet, and that will obviously those 14% will be affected by any particular potential change. So that's one piece. Second piece is that the government will be bringing forth legislation along these lines, and so we'll want to make sure that there's good alignment, and that that we're all singing from the same song sheet as far as this particular issue.
Yeah, because when it comes to alignment too, I do know when Minister Williams was first, like when I first found out he was going to be like for municipal affairs, I was a little bit nervous. But I think you've done a great job relationship building, Sean, and your meetings with him, and it sounds like there's a sense of mutual respect, and there's also a sense of collaboration, because it sounds like like obviously if we have like our livability tax, we change one of the criteria where Albertans are exempt as second homeowners, there's still a funding gap, and like now how is Minister Williams' opinion towards that?
Well, okay, first of all, on the relationship, it's definitely mutual.
Right.
Minister Williams and I started, brand new. We didn't know each other. We worked very well together. I believe that he's a person of integrity.
Great.
And has been really good to work with. Okay. I look forward to when we're going to have our discussions. Now, what's going to fill that gap? We don't know yet.
But the gap's been acknowledged.
The gap has been acknowledged. I mean, it was specifically acknowledged that we have a certain amount of need, and that a change to the livability tax program of this nature will create a gap.
Right.
And it's been acknowledged that we will continue to talk to find ways to fill that gap.
Yeah, which is amazing. I think the fact that the minister realizes, okay, well, he's going to play it down the middle. He has to satisfy what the premier wants, right, for her mandate letter, which was spoken a lot about during campaign time. But at the same time, the fact that he's also sympathetic to the fact that there's a funding shortfall that needs to be addressed, and he's willing to look at other ways, I think that's really interesting and great.
Yeah, and like I say, it's been a very positive, focused discussion on meeting needs. As opposed to getting positional,
right?
And I think that is a key to success, and I think is bodes really well for Minister Williams in his role as Minister of Municipal Affairs. He is taking to it really quickly, and has quickly built up, I think, a good reputation among municipalities as well.
Yeah, I think the other interesting thing too, as we've met with other councils across the province, and I think there's been to a degree, like lots of interest and admiration from other municipalities have kind of seen some of the steps we've had to take, some of these bold initiatives we had to make to like come forward with like this various taxation methods. Like I think Sylvan Lake was one community that's kind of had their eye on us and what we've been doing. All these pieces are super interesting. I think at the end of the day, when I look back on 2021, like when the 7 councilors got together, we're like, you know what, we got to fix our community. And we're like, how many tools have we got? And so we realized that this is what we got. And so we started with that tool. And at the end of the day, if the tool evolves, but we still have what we need to fix our community, I don't care if I need to fix it with a screwdriver, I need to fix it with a hammer. Right. As long as we fix it.
Right. Or you might need the whole toolkit.
Or all more tools.
Well, and there might be multiple tools required.
Exactly.
And we need to work together to create those tools. Because right now there is a shortage of tools, to use the analogy, and I think that's being recognized. That our unique situation may need additional tools to be determined. But that conversation is going to be had.
Yeah, and some of those tools might even help other communities across our province.
Sure.
Like as we're going through this interesting time where, you know, I think Alberta's trying to evolve, and you know, there's always been like heavy messaging on how we want tourism to diversify our economy and build our economy. And then, you know, for example, all the all-season resort stuff that's coming into K Country, like sometimes I look at some of the tools that maybe we were trying to push the envelope on, that are trying to come forward, and the province will hopefully come forward with. These are probably like broader tools and solutions that would apply across the province.
Absolutely.
Well, right?
I mean, to go with another analogy, I mean, like we are a community with a coal mining history. In many ways, we're the canary in the coal mine.
Absolutely.
On the tourism front, because there will be other communities that, to some extent, it may not be to the same extent, but there will be some communities as they become popular destinations will experience some similar pressures.
Absolutely.
Maybe not to the same degree, because we have a limited footprint here in the mountains.
The band.
Exactly. So there are some particular situations that won't be replicated.
Right.
But there could be some things that come out of this in this conversation that make the path smoother and more prosperous for all involved in other municipalities.
Yeah, so I don't know, I think that's pretty darn impressive. So it's interesting. I know sometimes people kind of like they didn't want us to have a tool, or they didn't like the tool we had. But the fact that we committed to a tool, at the end of the day, it's like we're here to fix something, and that's what we're trying to do. So fingers crossed. With regards to the community, like I feel some of the housing stuff, you know, we're starting to see that shift as well. Like I think finally LGMS lands, like that's starting to break ground. 100 Palliser, you know, that apartment building, you know, like right now they're still steadily doing stuff as we move through. Like obviously, you know, winter construction season's a little bit slower. You know, that's meant to ramp up.
There's the Mustache lands. That's gonna. We'll see that breaking. We'll see that breaking ground. We'll be breaking ground this year. And in fact, we'll see some movement on that in the next few months as well. And we're seeing things happening in the private sector as well. Employee housing being built. Just recently, Three Sisters had an opening of an employee housing that, you know, every piece helps.
100%. And so, you know, this is one of those things like 4 years and a bit in, but, you know, sometimes it feels like a grind and nothing's changing, but then sometimes you look back and okay, well, these are pieces. It's an interesting time. So I feel we've made some like great coverage here in the podcast, just talking about like, you know, like some contentious stuff like the livability tax, but also framing like what it was about, and hopefully, and also like our hope on where we're going forward and how that's going to help the community. You talked about another existential threat before, Sean. What's another existential threat for our community?
Well, obviously, fire risk and you know, emergency preparedness is of utmost importance. So I talk about two existential threats: the housing crisis, because if we go the route of other mountain towns, we could be gutted. But then there's also, if fire were to come through here, obviously it would be devastating.
Absolutely.
So I'm really proud of the fact that we got a lot of traction last term on our emergency preparedness with regards to wildfires in particular. I mean, the community fire guard that's being constructed, that is a huge step.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff is not even in our lands. This is like surrounding
Yeah,
provincial area. The province had to get on board as well to see the need,
absolutely.
right?
You know, even before Jasper happened,
Hmm.
I'd been talking with some of the local players, the fire chief at the time,
Hmm.
the biosphere,
Hmm.
and also through the human wildlife coexistence roundtable.
Yeah.
And while the town itself had been doing like fire smart activities and doing our plans and preparations for decades,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
there's so much fuel around the lands,
Yeah.
on provincial lands, both right by our municipality, going into the MD,
Hmm.
affecting the Kananaskis Improvement District,
Yeah.
that you know we needed to address that. So even before Jasper happened, we started advocating to the province to finish the planning in order to
Hmm.
help direct getting rid of some of those fuels
Hmm.
that have been built up in this. We're surrounded by an unnaturally thick forest
Oh yeah, it's
that
monoculture.
that is that has you know
Yeah.
due to a century of fire suppression activities.
Hmm.
It's so thick and so ready for fire that it's not only a danger to us, but it's also been pushing out habitat
Yeah.
for some of the larger animals in the ecosystem, especially. And so the province was very responsive.
Hmm.
Like I say, even before Jasper, they set up this fund,
Yeah.
and we were already moving on getting a fire guard
Hmm.
in the planning stages when the tragedy in Jasper happened.
Yeah.
And you know the silver lining for that
Hmm.
is there's learnings from that as well
Hmm.
that can be applied here into other places,
Hmm.
so that you know the great loss suffered by our friends in Jasper can hopefully be translated into protection for other communities. And so that also bolstered um, I think the political will,
Yep, for sure.
both at the municipal and provincial level, to make sure that Canmore is as protected as it can be. I mean, the fire guard is going to be huge to help in fighting a fire. It's not a overall protecting us solution. You know, a silver bullet, you might say.
Yeah, yeah.
It takes a lot of elements, and we just have to get as prepared as we can ever be
Hmm.
to face whatever hazard
Yeah.
comes our way,
Yeah.
right?
And
And that's essentially what we're doing.
for
That's
sure.
you know,
And we can, like, I feel in terms of tempo and pacing, like we've done a lot so far, and that's actually been super helpful just seeing how much we have done and how quickly. And I also think it's quite a fascinating too, like not only from like the municipal level, but the political, but even just at a down like grassroots citizen level. Like I find it really heartening how like nowadays everyone's mind is turned towards this like huge existential threat towards our community. I bet if you went 10 years ago and told people we're going to cut X amount of trees down surrounding the community, there would have been blowback and pushback.
yeah,
Now people are like, bring it. Like, this
yeah.
is kind of what we need. And then seeing like
Do more.
do more. Or like
Yeah,
the other things I really love, like certain communities are getting together, like neighborhood champions. Like big shout out to the guys in Peaks of Grassy who said, you know what, like my home is only as safe as like the weakest home on my street. I'm going to get together with all my neighbors. I'm going to fire smart my neighborhood and just make a step
yeah.
forward. And so yeah, and there's tons of efforts. Like I remember even just a couple of weeks ago, or like just driving to the ski hill. It was like early in the morning, and I was like kind of like bleary eyed, got on the driveway. I'm
You're
like,
kind of scaring me.
yeah, and it's like why is like, well, no, don't worry, don't, like, the coffee will kick in, the coffee will kick. But I was just like, why is the sun rising in that direction? And then I remember realizing, holy cow, that's not the sun rising. That glow in the sky is us burning like the significant
Oh
piles
yeah,
of, from the fire break.
yeah,
And which just kind of gives you a context. Like that's the controlled pressure release version. When we're just taking piles of wood that we've cut, let it dry
yeah.
over the summer and burn it. God,
And that's just the scraps.
that's the scraps. Like
Because all the big lumber was trucked
we're
out.
trucked out, and so it just gives that context of like it really like reiterated to me like okay like just how powerful and scary fire could be when you're just burning like the scraps at the end, which is a massive pile, and it's just like whoa.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a crazy time. And so Sean, like we kind of cover I think the two big existential threats here. Like as we come into 2026, like what's your general sentiment towards the community. I know these things change all the time, and I know there's times where I feel kind of like down because I look at my inbox and just some of the stuff I read is just so unbelievably mean. So we're trying our, but like, what's your sentiment for like 2026 for Canmore?
You know what? I just feel even more committed than ever to keep going,
Yeah, yeah,
to meet the those priority needs that we have.
yeah, yeah,
You know, we need to create more housing
for sure.
that's accessible to the average person. We need to continue to get better and better. Every day we have to be more prepared for emergency than the day before.
Yep.
Okay? And we have to continue to look after this beautiful place that we're in and coexist with the environment around us, doing our part with regards to climate change, but also just making sure that there's habitat for the wildlife and making sure that we're not contributing to the a decline of a species or something
Exactly.
like that, right?
We want to be ones that shut the door up.
Yeah,
like
so
the
just
corridor.
continuing all of that stuff. And continuing, like, I've really enjoyed the relationships that I've been building with the Stony Nakota community, especially the chiefs. We see each other a number of times throughout the year, and I really enjoy that. And you know, when you have a term done and you get feedback, both good and bad,
Sure.
you learn from it.
Try to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you try to do something a little bit different going forward where you learn you can do better. But you also put into perspective some of the emails where people, you know, they dehumanize us and they'll write that. It helps you put it in perspective.
Yeah.
You know, recognizing that, well, that is one person's perspective and a few may share that. We received so much support.
Yeah.
There's a majority out there that for the most part are content and living their life, as my daughter would say, living their best lives.
Yeah, trying their best.
and you know, and doing their thing and making Canmore the beautiful place it is. And so, you know, just keeping that perspective going forward. And I think that's the gift that an election gives when you see the majority of
there's
of
a
council
confirmation there.
majority of council returning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like for myself, you know, like I'll be candid. I'm a little bit tired just because I got some personal stuff going on and like some stuff with like business stuff where there's just like a big heavy lift. But yeah, like in terms of like for the municipality, I think 2026 is going to be a really good year. Like I think a lot of these great things we talked about, they're going to start to materialize and like, you know, we're going to see like further progress on some of the livability stuff. Like I'm heartened by there's that cultural shift when it comes to like emergency preparedness. And I also think, you know, like coming up in this January, you know, new council will get together. We're going to set our strategic plan. And I think like the folks at the table, I'm excited to see what we do. Like I think a lot of the things that we've cared about that showed up as like election issues are going to again be obviously reflected in the new strategic plan, but I'm excited for some newer parts to come in as well. Like I'm curious, like, you know, is there like a cultural piece of augmentation? Is there arts? Like maybe there's other stuff. I'm really curious what like other things are going to come forward in our strat plan as our North Star.
Absolutely. And while the majority of council was reelected, there was change. We have some fresh voices. Our two new councillors, I think, are going to be awesome.
Yep.
I think it's a really strong council. And with those fresh voices also come, you know, new life and refinement of ideas and new ideas.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you know, I share your optimism about the year ahead, and you know, I think ultimately that is one of the things that we always have to do is we have to remain optimistic for our community.
Yeah.
And if we're not optimistic, we have to find and do those things that get us optimistic.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if we're not looking that things can get better and improved, then we have to step aside and somebody else should be doing this job.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well, Sean, like I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic, and I know you're an optimist as well. So let's do a great year together.
All right, man.
All right.
Okay.